always get confused when they do these introductions, and I'll be looking around for who they talking about. Oh, that's me. So, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Glad to have y'all here. This has been an especially difficult time for me and for us, because of what is happening in Gaza. And it's important when you're involved in something like this to see beyond the feelings and the emotions and the sorrow that comes along with witnessing the mass murder of a population. I mean, it's a horrible thing, and I really hope that people are allowing themselves to feel what the Palestinians are going through. It's not a definition, because you can only feel based on the snapshots that you see. But it is a doorway to your humanity and to opening up and being able to empathize and sympathize and support people who are suffering. And so I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to gloss over that aspect of this thing, because I think it's very important. But I also think that this is a time to be a little bit critical of the situation, to begin to really analyze what is going on, because the emotions will only carry you so far. You know, at some point, you need data, you need information, you need to know the historical background, you need to understand the actual people who are engaged in the conflict and why and how long they've been engaged in this conflict, so that you can properly judge what are the historical obligations as human beings to the people in the area. The question always starts off with, for us, what is the relationship of Africa to Palestine? And the answer usually starts with the Afro-Palestinians who went to occupy Palestine. Many of them actually fought the occupation, which is a part of the story you rarely hear. And so they're dating this struggle from 1897 up to today. However, the narrative that the Zionists push goes back way further than 1897. And they actually reach back into the history of biblical times to find a justification for what they've done, which is to occupy Palestine. And so you could deduce from that that the African relationship to Palestine goes back to biblical times. But if you started a conversation there, you're still only going to get a partial picture. Because the reality is that Africa's relationship to Palestine goes back to the moment that the first human being left Africa to populate the planet Earth. There's only one border on land in Africa. It's a 128-mile stretch from the westernmost part of the Mediterranean Sea to the northernmost tip of a tributary of the Red Sea. And that 128 miles has always been there. That 128 miles has always been the borderline of Egypt. That 128 miles has always been the crossroads between Africa and the rest of the world. So all human beings, no matter where they are, we know originate from a single person, which is born in the center of Africa, who happens to be named Lucy. Y'all supposed to laugh at that, that's funny. Lucy. And we know her name was not Lucy.
Thank goodness.
But we do also know that from that point, some say some 200,000 years ago, modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, populated the African continent and left the continent and explored the world. And every single one of them had to pass through what we now call Palestine. This means that we've always had a relationship with that part of the world. Africa's relationship to the inhabitants of that land goes back to Africa's relationship to humanity at all. All of us passed through Palestine. Palestinians, under various names, were our first neighbors, and in many ways our only neighbors. So long before there was an Egypt, long before there was an Abraham, long before there was any such thing as Judaism, we knew the people who occupied that land. And we say that instead of these Zionists now coming to tell us our history of our relationship to Palestine, that they should come and ask us about our history and our relation to Palestine, if they want to know the truth. They claim it is their historical homeland. But we know of 150,000 years or more, they were not there. It was somebody's homeland. It has been somebody's homeland. It gets complicated. In Assyria was born a man, according to the Bible, named Abraham. Unable to make a living, having difficulty with his neighbors, whatever the social circumstances were, Abraham decided to leave Assyria, the land of his birth, and go to Egypt. When Abraham left Assyria to go to Egypt, there was no such thing as a Jew. Judaism as a religion did not exist. Judaism traces itself historically back to the lineage of Abraham and his sons, and eventually the 12 tribes of Israel. All of them were in Egypt. They claim Palestine is their historical homeland. But the faith of Judaism was not born in Palestine. It was born in Africa. According to the Bible, there came another generation, a man named Moses, who led the Jews, the Hebrews, out of Egypt into a desert where they wandered for 40 years. Now, what we know is that to the extent that this is a historical occurrence, all of them did not leave. They maintained that Hebrew tradition inside of Egypt up to this very day. at the end of their journeys, Moses never made it to the land of milk and honey, but he did receive the commandments from God and the covenant which God made with his chosen people to provide them a homeland. But a careful reading of those scriptures will tell you that that homeland God promised them was not in what we now call Palestine. It was in heaven with God. There are many mansions in God's house. Our Father will make a place for you. So again, this claim, this historical claim to the land of Palestine is refuted by their own scriptures. So we have to be really careful when we understand and look at this history. And I don't want anybody to take my word for none of this stuff. I really don't, you know, because I did my research. I know the references that I'm drawing off of. They inform me. I'm not an academic, so I don't come with footnotes, right? You are students. Check it out. Do your own research. Find out for yourself. Don't let nobody tell you what happened in history, because you can find out for yourself. And do not let nobody confine you to the written record of history, because the written record of history is the history of the rulers. And it's the history of the people that we have to concern ourselves with. So we have to have some other kinds of mechanisms to analyze what happened, because most of our history as human beings on this planet is unwritten. They just started writing 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. In one form or another, we've been on this planet for 1.5 million years. So there's a whole lot more that we don't know of what we do know, which was written at the behest of the Pharaoh and the king and the emperor. And this is my first point. Know history for yourself. Know it for yourself. Discuss it with others. Get more than one perspective. Don't study by yourself. Study in a group and challenge each other and dig. When you read something, follow the footnotes and see what the person who wrote the book was reading, and read that and trace it back to its primary sources so that you can draw your own conclusions. Because I can tell you something about imperialists and capitalists, and that is, they lie all the time. All the time. It's a part of their philosophical makeup. This kind of brings us to this question of settler colonialism. A settler colonialist is a liar, right? What kind of tongues do the white man speak with? Y'all don't know that? White man speak with forked tongue. Who said that? Native American people here. Why did they say that? Because they constituted hundreds and hundreds of treaties with the settlers who came to America, and the Americans, this really shouldn't call them Americans, the settlers didn't keep not one of the treaties. Not one. Not one. So your native brothers are telling you, don't believe nothing that they say. In the colonial environment, they do the same thing. They negotiate an agreement and have no intention of fulfilling the responsibilities for them that came out of that negotiation. So 9 times out of 10, they negotiating for time. They want to set you at ease for a minute, while they can plan to overthrow your government, while they can plan to invade your country, while they can plan whatever it is they plan. And believe it or not, you've seen it yourself, even in your young lives. Look at Saddam Hussein. Look at Muammar Gaddafi. Look at Thomas Sankara. All you gotta do is look around. All of these people had negotiated a position where they were supposed to be able to step by step resolve their contradictions and problems with the imperialists. And before the resolution of any of those problems, the imperialists came in and struck down these revolutionaries, struck down these men, and struck down these efforts to meet the problem, the needs of their people. So this is my first statement. Capitalism don't lie some of the time. Capitalism lie all the time. I've been in this party for a long time, and I hope I don't seem like I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm trying to get us to a point. I joined the AAPRP in 1974. I am now 67 years old, and in September it'll be 50 years of engagement. In 1978, we coined a slogan, 2 words. I want you to remember these 2 words. I'm going to do something to try to implant these 2 words in your brain for the rest of your life. Those 2 words are smash Zionism. 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 They say that you have to hear something or experience it 7 times for it to stick. So y'all all got stuck just now. Smash Zionism in your head. When we cast that slogan, and for almost 50 years, nobody else picked it up. Nobody was talking about smashing Zionism but the AAPRP. Even the Palestinian Liberation Organization at its height did not have a slogan of smash Zionism. And for the most part, even the revolutionary forces in Palestine today are only now coming to grips with the concept of smashing Zionism. Well, what is the value of this concept? First, well, it's the only solution. We put it out there as the only solution. People said we was crazy, it's too hard, it's too much, it's too difficult. And they've tried everything else. And step by step by step by step by step, they've moved to the point where they now understand that the only way to eliminate the contradictions in Palestine with the Israeli settlers is to smash Zionism. When we first said smash Zionism, it was a slogan of the AAPRP. Today, smash Zionism is the historically determined responsibility and accepted mission of a whole generation of Palestinians. It's not confined to us anymore. The people are beginning to understand. Why? And I want y'all to know, these words I'm going to tell you now, they tell me is hate speech. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. They say, Zionism is racism. Zionism is settler colonialism. Zionism is patriarchy. Zionism is capitalism. Right? That's hate speech. And they're right. It is hate speech. And we're not ashamed to be engaging in hate speech because we hate Zionism. And we think every human being with blood coursing through their veins and a conscience in the back of their minds should also hate Zionism. Because we hate racism, we hate settler colonialism, we hate this patriarchal system that oppresses all non-male genders regardless of race. We hate these things. We hate capitalism. And you're supposed to hate it. But your enemy is trying to disarm you by telling you it's hate speech and make you feel bad that you used hate speech instead of feeling good that you told the truth. So we come to tell you the truth. Zionism has to be smashed. The idea of a 2-state solution was destroyed a long time ago. After the Oslo Accords, they made the Palestinians take the statement, which had been ratified in UN resolutions, that Zionism is racism, out of the UN resolutions in order to agree to a two-state solution. And then you see what they're doing to the states. One state, Palestine, comprised of the West Bank, parts of Jerusalem and Gaza. The rest is supposed to be Israel. But the West Bank, parts of Jerusalem, well, they took Jerusalem back, and Gaza are concentration camps. This is not a homeland. This is a reservation. This is a Bantustan. This is a jail with a fence going all the way around it. And if you want food, they gotta open the gate to the fence. If you want water, you want electricity, you want building materials, it's dependent on the disposition of the occupiers. You can't be self-determined when you don't have access to the resources necessary to even build the things you want for yourself. They're surrounded not only on all three sides of land, but also blockaded by the water. Ships can't even come in there and bring food to Gaza. And believe it or not, everything you see happening to Gaza at this massive scale, at this stage of time, is happening in the West Bank. So while they're complaining and crying and want everybody in the world to be upset about 130 captured Israelis during this same time frame, and those was only ones, all of them were captured in one day. The Israelis have locked up 10,000 Palestinians since that day. And the people that Hamas captured, they're not prisoners of war, they're hostages. And the people that Israel captured in the West Bank, they're criminals, they're terrorists. They're not hostages. So again, we understand, they lie all the time. So, and it comes to us now to kind of figure out where we stand. What are we going to do? You know, it's not like Black Lives Matter. Because at the end of the Black Lives Matter demonstrations, you can go back to your house. Palestinians have no homes to go back to. I heard a report yesterday, they're talking, an Israeli official was talking about how they're going to make sure that all of the Palestinians can return to their homes. What homes? You saw the pictures. Ain't no homes left. Homes have been destroyed. The hospitals have been destroyed. The schools have been destroyed. The libraries have been destroyed. The playgrounds have been destroyed. The child care centers have been destroyed. Not some of them, all of them. Targeted. This is why people are saying it's a genocide. What are we going to do? We need to do something. Because the guns are being paid for by you. The bombs are being paid for by you. They ain't being paid for by me because I don't pay them no damn taxes. I figure sooner or later they're going to catch up with me, but until they do, I've been on a good run for 67 years. I don't care. I don't care. I want them to come lock me up because I got a whole lot to say. Come on. Last week they told us we couldn't speak at Montgomery College. And we told them, oh, so y'all agree with genocide. They changed their mind. We're going to go speak next week, Thursday. Yes, they rescheduled it. Because I was telling everybody I got banned from Montgomery College, and it was a badge of honor, and I was showing it all over the internet, and everybody, look at me, they kicked me out. They changed their mind. What are we going to do? We're going to allow them? They're not even trying to stop us from doing anything to stop America. They're trying to stop us from thinking about doing anything to stop America. Trying to stop us from talking about doing anything to stop America. And we cannot allow this. We cannot allow this. We are dependent to a large extent on you all. You are the ones who are going to shape the ideas that guide our future. You are the ones that are going to determine what is politically correct and politically incorrect. And increasingly, I find the young people think that imperialism is politically incorrect, that settler colonialism is politically incorrect, that Zionism is politically incorrect. But this knowledge, this understanding, this perspective has to be shared with our grandmothers, with our aunties and our uncles. We're watching TV with the little kids and they seeing bombs falling in Palestine. We need to educate that child. When our grandmothers come saying to us, what are they doing in Israel? We need to educate her. That's not the Israel in the Bible, Granny. They lied to you. This is our task, to politically educate our people, because the solution is organization. And you don't want to organize people around fallacious ideas, gimmicks, schemes, or mobilizations. You want to organize people around the truth, around principles, around things that have value and meaning, irregardless of the sacrifices that you have to make in order to keep those things dear to you. This is what we want to organize around the interests of the masses of the people. And I'm telling you, it is not an easy thing to do. It takes time, it takes effort, and you cannot do it alone. So this is good. That's my time. This is some of the message I want to bring, and I know it's kind of a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. But I kind of left those gaps in there on purpose to give you something to do. That's your homework. Fill in the gaps. Know what happened between the birth of man and the rise of Egypt. Know what happened between the birth of Abraham and the rise of Judaism. Know what happened between the rise of Judaism. Because that place that we call Palestine has been invaded by everybody. From the Egyptians to the Babylonians to the Assyrians to the Ottomans to Alexander the Great, the Romans, the Greeks, the Ottoman Empire. Genghis Khan never made it that far, but his gunpowder made it. So he still contributed to the domination of that space. So the Palestinian struggle for self-determination and independence definitely did not start 100 years ago. They've been fighting invaders since the days of Ramses, if not before. This struggle is an ongoing, permanent, protracted struggle, and it needs people who are willing to stand up and fight to the end, because that's the only way we're going